Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
And welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Leigh, and I'm here today with Gretta and Carol, and we are very happy to be on Transformation Network every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Shifting Impressions will help you look at your life, your creation of reality. How are things showing up? And maybe how you could choose to perceive those situations differently. Every week, if you're new to the podcast, we discuss a quotation that Gretta has downloaded from the Realm of Beings. And towards the end of the podcast, the realm gets to weigh in on their quotation and we hear from them directly. So ladies, thank you for being here today.
Pleasure as usual.
Today, we are talking about our innate power. And the quotation is simply, you are a powerhouse. So where should we start off with that today?
My first feeling about this, a powerhouse generates energy, a strong, usually electrical energy. And it also is used as an adjective for someone who has very strong power. The thing that really got to me is we were discussing a Seth class last night, and we were talking about how we create everything, including our bodies. And when we think about our bodies, we think about, the outside. But we know there's trillions of cells, and each of those cells have all kinds of stuff inside of them, mitochondria and all kinds of things. And we literally create all of it. And I remember thinking, it hit me how amazing and how powerful we are to be able to create such a complicated machine, living machine. And we are all powerhouses because it's all energy and it's all created by us. So that was my impression.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people, I think that's a great statement. I'm glad you shared that with everybody, Carol, because people sometimes think of themselves as being weak because they create experiences that they consider to be the worst experiences, sometimes the worst experiences that they could have created. And a lot of times they don't even realize they created them. And I think on this podcast, we've been stressing for 3 years now that each one of us creates our own reality. What is reality? Reality is everything that you see in front of you. You create it. We're in that creation all the time. We never step out of it. If we begin to embrace our divinity, then we automatically embrace quote unquote power. I'm putting quote unquote there because I've never been oriented toward the word power. So I felt it was interesting that the realm even used that word, but I think that they used it because they wanted to get across that we as humans are more, quote unquote, powerful than we think we are. If we note and realize that we create everything, I mean, just think about what it takes to be able to create everything.
It's amazing. It really is, because it's so much more complicated than it appears to be on the surface. But if you always remember that everything is energy, that's what power is. Power comes from energy. So the fact that we're able to do that, I think the biggest issue most people have is they'll take responsibility for things that they enjoy. You know, oh, I did this and I succeeded at that. But as soon as something happens that is not to their liking, all the time, Greta, you do it, so does Leigh. You are in control of everything that happens to you. You are creating it all, whether you like it or don't like it. That's your creation. So shift it, make it to be what you want and what you like.
Mm-hmm. I hear Leigh's brain.
Well, I mean, I do appreciate where Carol's, we are, everything is energy. And it's safe to say that we are, very electrically oriented beings, right?
Absolutely.
And, when you were both talking, I started thinking, okay, so, but, there are all these topics about, sacred geometry. And I said, but there's got to be like a pattern for things. Like, we created all this, but it was based on a pattern of something. And then I said, oh, but if we are the kind of microcosm of the macrocosm, right? And if we are the force. So, I mean, it's just a little hard for me to wrap my head around sometimes that, we created the pattern. And that's how, I guess, unconsciously we know how to do these things, whether, because if we are the force, then, and everything is the creation. So, but it's a lot for us to take, it's a lot for us to hold, I suppose, in these humanoid forms. And then we get stuck in this, in these like dualities. But I think the point is that maybe, I mean, there other, this is the thing I want to ask you, Greta, are there other forces, entities, creating with us, simultaneously?
When you say that, Leigh, then you're getting into also concept of time, which doesn't exist. That's an illusion. That's part of the illusion of this reality.
Right.
So yes, everything is going on simultaneously because the force is, let's say, thinking everything simultaneously. And I'm going to think about that. It's thinking of everything going on. I'm thinking of every universe. It's thinking about and holding every species that it has created and brought into fruition, into actualization. It's thinking of all of that. It's thinking of all of the thoughts, all of the emotions, of everything, which seems so vast to us. Because right now, we don't know of all the planets that are out there. We don't know of all the species that are out there. We're beginning to tap into that, not really beginning, because I guess back in the 1920s, probably they were looking at individuals that were coming from other regions of the universe. I just use the word individuals. I'm going to get on my soapbox now. I don't like the word alien, and I don't like the word extraterrestrial. You know, I know myself, I wouldn't want to be called an alien, and I wouldn't like to be called an extraterrestrial. So I'm just more into individuals, you know. So that is going on. Everything is going on simultaneously. There are no parts. See, that's the interesting part that we want to wrap our heads around. There are no parts to this. The illusion is that there are parts, but in actuality, there are no parts. There's only the oneness of something. And I've used the example of getting rid of my corporal body, the physical body, getting rid of Carol's and getting rid of yours, Leigh. And then when we look at it, we'll see energy, but we're not going to see three different sections of energy. We're only going to see one energy. And that's when we realize that we are all one, that there is no separation. Separation is another illusion that we as humanoids experience. You were going to say something, Leigh.
No, I'm just asking that, you know, how, like, we're creating this reality at all times, and and everything is happening around us at the same time. However, you know, like, let's just say the realm of beings, right? They are in this space too, right? Because they come through you, right? As a vehicle. So they can, what I'm asking is, even if everything's there, other beings that are with us here influence our creation of reality, influence us in our creating.
Absolutely. It depends on, like, for instance, I can give the story of a story that my mentor years ago, she's made her transition now. Her name was Dr. Irene Hickman. She taught me to, along with others, I wasn't the only one, trained people in going remote, not doing remote viewing. Now, remote viewing and what we do is totally different. Let me distinguish that first. Remote viewing means you go out, you look at something, like, let's say I want to go to the Eiffel Tower, so I can go remotely and I look at the Eiffel Tower and I say, oh, this is wonderful. I can see it. Oh, it's great. I come back. I don't do anything else. When you do remote, like we do, then you're privy to all the realities that are around you if you want to. Notice I said, if you want to see all the realities, you can see that. So, and you can see the other individuals that exist in those realities, because you move from this reality to the next reality. But you don't have to take this physical body with you. You go with
Greta,
it inside
quick
mind.
question on that. If you're going to another reality, as you worded it, who's creating that reality? Is it you or the species that is in that reality?
You have to be the one. Anytime I'm seeing something that is part of my creation of reality, it's because I have to see it. It's like, even when we're training other facilitators, I say, okay, this is the way I see it. You know, like I say, you know, we work with dark angels and dark dragons. They're huge. They're about 9 feet tall and wonderful. They're very strong angels, because I need them, but to work with me because of the work I do. But then I have dark dragons. So I'll say have the dark angels and dark dragons. Well, why do I have dark dragons? Because I love dragons. It just didn't pop up that dragons actually help me with the work. It's that I formulate the energy to look like dragons. Asian concept of dragons, not the European. European concept of dragons is that they're evil and they do horrible things. Asian concept of dragons is that they're very kind and helpful. And that's what I deal with. That's how I've created the energy. The energy forms itself into dragons. The energy forms itself into dark angels. What is the energy? The energy is the force. What am I? The force. So therefore, I can take the energy and do anything that I want with it. And it will help me in that creation of reality. That's another reason why we say each one of us is a powerhouse, because we take the energy of the force, which is us, and use that energy to create what we want. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And you say this often, and I understand that we have the blinders on. We basically have a tunnel vision. We see our little world and our little creations. And sometimes that seems overwhelming to us. So to grasp the concept that there's even more out there than what we perceive as our universe, it can be overwhelming for people. So you need a lot of energy to understand that. And you need to be open to seeing that energy.
Right. Some people are not, because there's a fear of it. There's a fear of thinking that they are so powerful. There's a fear of, did I really create this? No, this just came about. Or God did this to me, or the devil did this to me. You know, we spent 2 podcasts talking about evil and the devil and the concept of hell. But yeah, we are that because we are the force.
And do other species recognize that they're like, do they have a similar belief system about the force?
I'm not familiar with all of the species, but I would think that they have some conceptualization of it, because each one of us has a conceptualization of it, you know. Leigh, I'm not sure if I answered your question that you had asked.
I'm not sure if you answered my question either, to be honest.
Tell it to me again.
I wanted to know, so we're here creating things, right? And there are other, I mean, there are other energies around us, okay? Like I'm saying, there's the energy of Carol, and there's the energy of Gretta, and there's the energy of me. And then coinciding with that are other energies. Like I said, just for, you know, sake of the question, let's just say the realm of beings, right? They are the energy that is that structure is also intermingling with us, whether we know it or whether we see it or don't see it, know it or don't know it, it's there. So as we're creating, can those other energies that are commingling with us like influence us, or is that like simply a belief at work that makes the realm of beings influence us in some way? Or, you know, is it solely belief structures that even entertain that there are other forms of energy coalescing with us simultaneously?
Now I know I started answering that when I started talking about Dr. Irene Hickman, and then I got off on a tangent. But what I was going to say then was the example that she gave. There was a gentleman driving down the street, this particular street, and this is a true story. And he ran into a light post with his car and killed himself. Okay. Well, we know there's no concept of really death. So he gets out of the car, and of course his physical body is there. The rest of him leaves the car. And the reason why he ran into the light pole was because he was intoxicated. Okay. He was alcoholic. That was one of the experiences that he had chosen. So this other gentleman is walking down the street, very innocently, just walking down the street on his way going home. The gentleman who has gone through the transition process decides that he doesn't want to go to the transitional portal, which is what some people refer to as heaven. So he decided he wanted to stay here. So in that decision, he created to go inside that gentleman who was walking down the street. Because we've talked about earthbounds. Earthbounds are individuals that at one point in time were fully existing in this reality, but who have decided that they don't want to remain here anymore, and they go through the process of what most of us call death. Okay. He jumped into him because he decided he still wanted to have the experience of being in this reality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he jumps into the man, and then this is the influence. He influenced the gentleman, but you can't do that. You see, the gentleman had to be open to accommodating this individual who jumped into him.
Mm-hmm.
Because the gentleman now who never took a drink in his life, who didn't like alcohol, who was not practicing or experiencing being an alcoholic, now becomes an alcoholic. For 3 years, that man was drinking steadily. The family could not believe that this is what happened, but it did. They didn't know that the other man had jumped into. Finally, they got in touch with, they were referred to Dr. Hickman. Dr. Hickman looked at him and said, well, you've got an earthbound that's in you, that's influencing your behavior. But see, that meant that the man who was walking, even though he didn't physically take drinking or whatever, but there was something about his nature that accepted it. You see what I'm saying? He had to accept the man. He had to accept the experience because he was in total control of his reality. It sounds from an illusionary point of view that here comes this earthbound, jumps into this man, influences, takes over his body, and the man becomes an alcoholic. That's the illusion of it. If we look at the creation of reality of it, the man possibly wanted to go through the experience of alcoholism for his own growth. There was a lesson that he wanted to learn in that, so that he chose the alcohol to be the way to learn that particular lesson. Consequently, the man who died, quote unquote, died, jumped into him to support him in that lesson. See, that's the actuality of it. It's not that somebody just jumps in you and influences your behavior. No.
Okay,
You
but
go ahead.
just pause a second. However, the walking man had to already have a belief system that this kind of, I don't know, this kind of thing was possible, right? For the quote unquote, like, did the belief system already have to be there? Like, oh, like a what is it? Like this exorcism thing. Like, I forgot, what is the word? Can either of you, when you think that some
Possession?
yes. Does that belief system have to be present first, that this is possible, and then that makes it possible? Or it's like strictly the alcoholism link? Because and I'm not talking about possession, I'm just talking about can these other energies, can they like influence your thought forms?
If you are in agreement to that,
Mm-hmm.
remember, you are in absolute charge of your behavior. You are in absolute charge of what you create, everything that you create.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this existence protocol that works with every individual in all universes that are in creation. And that is create, support, create. That goes through everything. So that man, now we have to get into the concept of death. What happens with you when you die? The first thing is that you decide, it's not that you just, it goes along with it, is that you come out of the state of illusion. You're no longer in that state of illusion. Soon as you make the decision, I am making my transition, you actually go through the process of making your transition. Soon at that very point, that is where you are no longer attached to the illusions of this reality. So what that meant was that gentleman, even though he was out of the framework of the illusions of the reality that he had created, he decided he wanted to continue his lesson. But he decided, I want to continue this lesson here in this reality, which is really not this reality, because once he stepped into gentleman, there's another reality. I don't know how to explain it, but they're overlays. It's not even an overlays. I call it mashed potatoes myself. I start talking about time. People ask me about time. I said, think about mashed potatoes. Everything's all there together. Because some people want to do cycles. Some people want to do dimensions. They create all these other kinds of things. It's just mashed potatoes. So, but there was a decision at the unconscious level for that man walking down the street to receive this gentleman. There was, because we're all one, there was a connection between the two of them that said, okay, we are both going to practice this lesson.
Greta, quick question. The man from the automobile, his energy essence essentially entered the corporal form of the walking man, correct?
Absolutely, because see, we're all one anyway. So there was really no separation of him going there. It was just automatic.
But what happened to the energy essence of the man who was walking?
He's still
Does
there.
he remain? It's still there?
He's still there. Because it was a decision that he made. See, there was a shared decision here. Create, support, create. The gentleman who was walking down the street had to say, okay, I want to experience this. Otherwise, he can't experience. The man who is died and says, well, because at that point he realizes alcoholism is a lesson. Because you're not into the illusions of all this stuff. You can think better, you can see more. So he knew, I'm not through with this lesson, but I want to continue to experience this lesson. I want to continue it in a reality as close to this reality as possible. The other man wanted to experience it. They both come together and join together to do the experience. The man who was walking down the street now is experiencing alcoholism. The man who jumped in him is continuing his lesson of experiencing alcoholism, and they're both moving together through these realities. However, now it gets to really be interesting, because that man the man who was walking down the street created his own reality. And the other man has a reality that's right there, mixed in there with his reality. So in actuality, you can say that there are two realities functioning as one. You see, I know I lost a lot of people when I just said I could tell, I could feel it. But do the best you can, y'all. Okay.
It's confusing. It's
That's
confusing
all right.
for
That's all
sure.
right. Let's not even say it's confusing. Let's just say it's something we got to wrap our heads around. So that it's not influence, Leigh. It's a decision. I accept to go through this. I accept to go through that. So when Dr. Hickman came, she saw the other gentleman in this other person. And then so the person who had jumped into him said, well, it's time for you to go. You have to move on. So she assisted the one who was in the, who had jumped into the person. She assisted him in going to the transitional portal. You have to continue the transitional portal. So he was in agreement with that because he went to the transitional portal. Once he left this other gentleman, the lessons were finished. Unless they want to continue them. Now, if the other one goes into the transitional portal and he wants to continue that experience of alcoholism, he can do that when he creates his next transitional portal. In the meantime, the man that was here that he jumped into stopped drinking. There you go.
Wow.
Now, that's a good example of what you asked me, Leigh.
Okay. And why is it a judgment thing that your mentor said, like, you have to leave?
It's one thing. It's one thing that now you get, you all are getting deeper and deeper. It's like Dr. Emoto. I'm going to go back to Dr. Emoto, Japanese gentleman who knows that water creates its own changes its molecular structure depending on what colors, sound, words, and everything else that are around it. He once said, I heard him at one of his lectures, you don't want the people to stay here, because what it does is remember the earth is a being as well. So think of yourself as you never stop eating. If you never stop eating, you just keep eating, one right after the other. What's going to happen? You're going to say, oh, I'm full. I'm full. I don't want to eat anymore. Okay. So you're going to stop. So what happens is as we stay here, because we're electromagnetic beings, we are occupying this energy that's here. So the earth can go into an overload. So it needs people to pass from it to other realities, you see. But understand that the earth is not only just in this reality, it's in many realities. Because as we go into a transitional portal and we recreate it, we're creating earth again, you see. So we take earth with us, but it's a way of giving earth some breathing room. So that's why when Dr. Hickman said, let's go to the transitional portal, the gentleman went. the gentleman went. So that was helping the earth in this reality, and it was assisting him. He was ready then to move on to the next transitional portal. Okay, so that's all that is. It's just a movement into the next transitional portal. If he wants to keep that lesson, he can do that. He doesn't want to keep the lesson, he can say, I'm finished. I don't want to do it anymore. Yeah,
Is that equal to moving deeper into yourself?
absolutely.
Okay.
Because it's not a direction of going outward. It's
Right.
never outward. Everybody really needs to forget that word outward as far as spirituality or however you want to define this. It's never outward. It's always inward. You're going inner and inner and inner, and in transitional portals, inner and inner and inner. It's like I tell people, and you've heard me say this, Carol, and I think Leigh has too. We're in a transitional portal right now.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't remember that we already died. We just don't remember it.
Ladies,
Probably many times.
I'm going to pause us right now. Before we take this break, Carol, do you want to just make some announcements about where?
Yes, very quickly, a reminder to our listeners who are out on the West Coast in LA. Dr. Gretta Chamberlain and the Realm of Beings will be at the Conscious Life Expo at the LAX Hilton, February 9th, 10th, and 11th. I suggest you get your tickets now because they sell out quickly. And the workshop will be on February 11th, which is a Sunday. So please go ahead and get your tickets now.
Thank you. Listeners,
Welcome.
thank you for joining us on Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. We'll take a short pause, and when we come back, we'll hear from the realm. Thanks for listening. Hello, welcome back to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. We've reached a point in the podcast where the realm gets to weigh in on their quotation. So realm, are you with us?
Yes, we're here.
Okay, we're talking about one of, a relatively brief quotation today. You are a powerhouse. What do you want the listeners to know about that?
We create inside this experience, we've created different individuals to show power orientation. Supergirl, isn't that what her name is? Superwoman.
Wonder.
I think there was what was it?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. That's it.
But there was a Supergirl too.
And there's a Supergirl.
Different universe.
Yep. Superman. What else are they? The Hulk. The Flash. He can move like the wind and situate himself anywhere in any reality.
Realm, you like graphic novels.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's so wonderful to look at those things. And then to see, what are those four little men? Are they Power Rangers?
Oh, yeah.
And they come in different colors. And then they do different things. The red one can do this, I guess. Is that right? And the yellow one can do something else. Okay, if we take all of those characters and put them all into one, and all those wonderful things that they can do, then we can see ourselves. Because, see, we create these power building individuals. We go to the movies. We watch them. I think it's Marvel Comics.
Mm-hmm.
Gretta loves Marvel Comics. She's forever looking at those things. But in dealing with that, we forget, we externalize the power. Do you get what I'm saying? We externalize the power. We believe in the power. We believe in the power. But we don't believe
But
it's us.
we're giving it to someone else, essentially.
Absolutely. We're giving it external. The Flash can move. Supergirl can go and lift up cars and things like that. We give the power to external things so we can take a look at it. We say, oh, that's wonderful. It's not that we see ourselves as powerful beings, you know. And we use we because as the realm, we know we're the realm of beings, but we also know that we're one with all. So that is why we use the pronoun we if somebody is wondering about that, you know. But its power is not external, y'all. It's not external, it's internal. Receive this information from us. You are powerful. Stop thinking is our suggestion, because we can't make you to believe this. But we suggest that you entertain it a little bit, that you are powerful and that you create everything that you experience. We don't care what it is. We're even creating our realities while you are creating yours. We have realities. We have lessons. Just because you see us as the realm of being, we have lessons as well. Just as does Bashar, Cryon, the Abraham collective. We're all a collective. In actuality, we're all one. We have different names: Bashar, Cryon, the realm of beings, the Abraham, you know. So you think you're talking to individuals, and you're really talking to all of us simultaneously at the same time.
And in a way, are we not also talking to ourselves?
Absolutely. Because we are you and you are us. Just because we don't have a corporal body like yours, you know, we are thought. We are beings of thought. We are thought beings, you see. But yet we're just a different species. That's all we are. And there are many of us here.
Were you ever in corporal form?
I'm trying to think. I'm sure I was. I'm sure I experienced all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
For me to go back and think about, well, what was I probably don't think about it. Because right now, my focus is being here with Greta and being here with you. That is my focus. And when I say my, I mean all of us. This is our focus. There are thought, individuals of pure thought all over the world. Here in your, what do you call it, Western cultural framework, you hear of these, but there are many. And they take on different names to support the culture that they are manifesting themselves in, you see. But there are many of us here, many. So the thing is that for us today is to assist you, to support you in understanding you are more powerful than what you think you are. You are the one that decides when you're going to transition. God doesn't do that. It doesn't have to. because you are God as you are the force, because you are one with everything. See, that's the challenge to wrap your heads around from what we have observed. But that's okay too. Now, somebody has a question between the two of you. What is it?
I was just wondering if we have the possibility of becoming pure thought energies down the road through various transitional portals. Can we make that decision also?
You can decide whatever you want. You, as the incarnate, you see the incarnate is the force. That's an aspect of the force. The incarnate chooses the lessons, chooses the species. And then you think, as the species, you think that you're doing it all. Oh, that tickles us. Yeah. So you choose to have a human experience. We've chose to have this experience, you see. And you keep going through the transitional portal. You're going to go through the transitional portal as Carol until Carol fully understands that she's the force. Leigh will continue to stay in this laterality, stay on this same highway, and then until Leigh decides, oh yeah, I am the force. I recognize it. Now, how long? Now, here it comes. How long Leigh's going to stay on that highway trying to figure that out? That's up to Leigh. How long Carol's going to be on that highway? That's up to Carol. You see. Then someone asked Gretta at one of her classes, well, what do we do when we finally realize that? Oh, we thought that was funny. She just looked at her and said, anything you want to do. You're the force. You decide. So if you want to experience being a thought form like we are, we'll take you in, Carol. Come on board, you know.
I would love that.
Decide that. You have to decide that you'd like to have our experience. Yeah. Yeah. It's a wonderful. Yes.
Earlier in the podcast, when I asked the question, how is it decided that this man who was in the car accident must exit the man who was walking? And then Gretta said that this is a functionality of giving room for the Earth's magnetosphere or whatever. But so if that is the case, now when, you know, we have, I think, some shared human beliefs. You know, I think that most of humanity believes there are airplanes and trees, and there's a collective consciousness amongst our realities that create things. So, is it true that our collective beliefs also impact like what is possible on this Earth reality? Like I heard someone saying the other day that, let's just say in the time of Atlantis, you know, people could levitate things because the collective believed that that was possible. And the density of matter was different because the collective belief in that matter was a different idea.
You know what movie comes to mind is The Matrix. And you can find this on YouTube because Gretta has used it in her PowerPoints. And that the spoon. When you look at it, you think it says in the movie, the spoon is not there. And it also says, bend the spoon. You can bend it. You can really bend it. You can do anything you want to do. You have the energy. You're the force. You can do anything. See, that's what's being the powerhouse. Recognize your divinity. Recognize what you can do. You can do anything you want to do. You can create anything you want to create. You want to create living in a 25-room mansion? You can. You want to create it being homeless? You can. That's your creation. Everything is your creation. The spoon is not there. It's the illusion that the spoon is there. That's illusionary. When you start talking about beliefs, this is a belief. Beliefs are illusions to begin with. You see, your beliefs support you because they are illusions. They support you in living and existing in this illusionary reality of experience. So there you go. I hope that answers your question, Leigh.
Yes, Realm, we're coming to the end of the podcast. Is there anything that you would like to add in closing?
Yes, we would like to say to the audience, begin to recognize that you are a powerful divine being. When you can get to that point, then you can translate yourself into understanding that you are the force. Right now, it seems, with some of you, that seems almost impossible because you're creating things that some of you are creating things you wish that you didn't create. But as we have said and have said to Gretta over and over again, these interesting lessons are that you create for yourself are here for you to overcome them, not to succumb to them, but to overcome them. Express your divine power.
Realm, I know I've mentioned this to Gretta many times. I have honestly seen instant creation of reality of things I want, which is amazing to me in and of itself because I know that it's possible. And yet there are other things that I've been trying to create for years that have not experienced yet. And Gretta says it's because the low vibrational energy is still too strong in me for me to be able to overcome that. Now, we do our QDRs, our affirmations, and many other things, but is there anything else you can tell us to do to quell those low vibration energies so that we can create what we want, like the 25-room mansion?
We would love to do that for you, but Leigh has already let us know that we're leaving. So
Yeah.
Can you write that down and we'll make that another podcast?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yes, Carol, please do. Listeners, thank you for joining us. If you would like more information about where you can see Gretta live and in person, please go to the website, therealmofbeings.com. Thank you, Realm. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Gretta. And most importantly, thank you, listeners. This is Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. Until we create each other again. Be well.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with the Realm and me, Gretta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multi-dimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.